With RLCS officially hitting the offseason, roster changes are bound to happen. The North America Spring Series is coming up next weekend, and it seems to be a perfect opportunity for teams to test out new rosters in a competitive environment. There's $125,000 on the line, and success there may provide insight into something special. Without wasting any time, and Rogue getting progressively worse after making top 4 in RLCS 7, they've recently decided to part ways with Wonder. He's the last remaining member of the FlyQuest squad that Rogue picked up after Jacob, Sizz, and Joro were relegated in Season 6. I actually said a couple weeks ago on stream that if I had to pick up a free agent for Rogue, Turinturo was going to be my first choice. For those that don't know Turin, he's a mechanical nut, but is also known for setting up opportunities for his teammates. Previously of Charlotte Phoenix, this could be a tryout that may lead to some wonderful opportunities. You can think of him along the lines of Atomic or Arsenal with less demos. He's young, has a lot of potential, and can lead to many opportunities for his teammates. The advantage he brings over his former teammate Shadow is it just doesn't seem like the inconsistency or the nerf factor plays as much as a role. He seems calm and collected and may make an immediate impact in partnership with Kronovi. In fact, we've actually seen Turin and Kronovi already play together in the Brawl 7, where they won alongside Justin. Turin actually ended up stealing the show with his high-profile mechanics and ability to be a nuisance. It proved to me that Kronovi still continues to be at the top of his capabilities to support 2 Ballhawks, which is exactly what First Killer and Turin could be. Despite this, I do have a few questions. How will it fare against other RLCS rosters? Brawl was against captain drafted teams, and teams that are dedicated with a coach may provide a little bit more challenge than friends just getting together to play for money. Was it just a honeymoon phase, or is it something they can recreate? Is Kronovi's veteran status and capabilities to be a captain going to put him into a support role where we think that is the best, or is their playstyle going to develop past that? Since Kronovi was removed from G2, the only successful season Rogue has had is when AJ, Wonder, and Kronovi placed top 4 at RLCS 7. Both AJ and Wonder were in top form, hitting flip resets while Kronovi tied it all together to continue pressure. On the first day of that LAN, Kronovi had 0 goals and was the least talked about player on the field. In most circumstances, when a support player is mentioned, it's because they're making mistakes, and in this case, Kronovi really didn't have to do much. He was just enabling his teammates to be more successful, similar to someone like the case of Violent Panda, a person that we tout as one of the best support players in the world. Kronovi is simply there to just make his team better. There are quite a few things that don't necessarily translate one-to-one with these new players, so I'm going to do my best to provide some of that insight. Kronovi is the only remaining player since that success, so let's start with him. He still has mechanical ability, but his biggest asset in my opinion is his decision making. Knowing when to challenge the ball, or slow down the play to provide his teammates time. When he's able to utilize his game sense as the third person in rotation, it takes full advantage of the leadership role where he can communicate that information to his teammates. I feel over the years he's understood what's important to be successful, and we've seen his career adapt accordingly. He's okay with taking the backseat instead of showing the flashy goals that I know he's capable of. He's essentially trying to get the big win, lifting the trophy, because he hasn't done it since Season 1. First Killer came in last season as the hot free agent. He's originally known for his ones playstyle, and has made strides into the RLCS by showing up on defense, but also providing options on offense. I feel he performs his best when a team behind him provides the opportunity for him to create chaos. Challenge everything, cut off plays from developing, use that speed and those mechanics to shut things down. Despite this, it seems like there can be a lack of confidence, but as time goes on his confidence does seem to be getting better. I do feel First Killer has a ton of potential, but it's going to take time and outside help to get him to reach that true potential. Being so young, it was my biggest concern for First Killer, and I'm not exactly sure why Rogue continued to choose to not have a coach, which is something that could help them immensely. Even with Kronovi's help, I feel a coach could benefit Rogue and relieve some of that burden off of Kronovi and his captain role. Last but not least is Turinturo. This could be the missing puzzle piece. Even though he has only one RLRS season under his belt, he's shown he can compete at a high level even against some of the best. Although results may not show immediately, the more exposure a player like Turin gets to the high level, the better he'll become. I think the fast play style first killer supported by Kronovi should allow him to slot in relatively quickly. It should provide that level of chaos that we see in the RLRS and in ranked queue, where his natural decision making should be more instinctive, and then as time progresses, it becomes more controlled and more defined. If I had to make a comparison, this could very well become a team like Vanguard. Super frustrating to play when they're on, constant pressure, attacks from every angle denying you boost, but I want to see it challenged by some of the top teams like G2 and Space Station. I want to see how they can improve from it, and I have reservations without anybody on the outside trying to help them progress and them all having to do it and take it on themselves. With that said, I do think there is a lot of upside and a lot of potential to this team. One of the biggest flaws and one of the biggest issues I had with Rogue last season and seasons of past is the inconsistency and the capabilities lacking when it comes to offense. They would get opportunities, they would create pressure, but it wasn't sustained, and when the shots did come through, a lot of the times they were off the mark. It just felt like the third person or the person taking the shot was late to the ball or just trying to make up for something rather than being in that position already and ready to capitalize or take advantage of the situation that's been provided. And I think that's where Turinturo comes into play and how he may fit really well into this team. He's plenty fast, he's fully capable of being mechanical, and at the top, a lot of the high-level teams, we don't see all three players clicking all the time. Usually it's two players playing well, and one player that just kind of figures it out and ties it together. They're not expected to play at their best every single week, and it takes off that pressure from a lot of these teams. And in this circumstance, I think Kronovi is always going to provide us with a certain level of play. He's always going to be super consistent. He's going to be able to lock it down. He's going to be able to help us out on that defensive side and transition into offense. That should provide confidence to First Killer, which should allow him to play better, especially with the second season under his belt and other tournaments coming in before that even more so. And then that should allow Turinturo to kind of rely on that instinctual play I'm talking about. The capabilities of being able to play fast and just kind of do his thing until a more structured style comes into play and develops. Now, I know I'm just kind of spitballing here, but I feel like a lot of these reasons are why we should be paying attention to Rogue, not only in the spring series, but throughout the rest of the offseason, going into the Brawl if they choose to sign up, and everything else before Season 10. This team has a lot of pieces I think that could be extremely beneficial, but until we see it challenged and tested by the big guys, the Space Stations, the G2s, I'm not sure we're going to see if it's a make or break situation. I don't know if it's going to force them to get better or if it's going to be a scenario where they crumble under that pressure. With young players on your roster, it's always going to be a concern of mine. They're forced to grow up fast, and no one knows that better than Kronovi. He was the poster boy. He was forced to mature very quickly because all this attention was on him, and has gone through the ups and downs at an extreme level throughout his career. Despite this, I don't think it should be up to Kronovi to make that stuff happen for his teammates. I think they need a coach, whether it's on the mental side or in-game, anything to help them out, to help with these young players, to help them mature and grow and feel like they have that support structure so they can continue to be confident. I think this applies more to First Killer than anybody, but it's not going to hurt for Turinturo as well, and even more so, maybe Kronovi would like that constant positivity behind him as well. Sometimes that outside perspective can be extremely beneficial, and I just don't see them utilizing it. My concern again is whether it's going to make them better, or if they're going to continue to be stuck in that 5 to 7 spot, or even worse, find themselves in relegation. Either way, I see this team being a possible roster that competes for the 4th spot alongside Vanguard, and can make for an exciting rivalry for seasons to come. I'm curious on what your thoughts are, and feel free to drop a comment down below if you guys enjoy the content, as we're going to be trying to do these for the rest of the roster changes moving forward. If you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications as well so you don't miss any of the videos that we put out daily, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks.